All right, hello Feast family, this is Jolene. Today we're on the second week of our food budgeting and feeding our family series. And today's topic, we're gonna focus on how to budget our food, especially during this challenging time. All right, let me see. You all can see my screen really well, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
So, budgeting in general can be such an exhausting thing to do, whether it's for food, for clothes, for at-home equipment. If you have a certain small budget, it can be very tricky to figure out what's the right thing to buy and what are the products to shop for. And here today, we're going to share a couple strategies that work for me and for my Feast family, and maybe they could work for you too. First, let's talk about food, eating the right portion size. Everyone has a different energy needs based on your age, your gender, and your physical activity level. Our hand can be a very good tool to show us how much is that we need to eat. And this could be helpful for our budgeting because if we know how much we should be eating to just get our belly to feel happily full, then we can prevent overeating. On this slide, you can see using just our hand, we're able to figure out our serving size. If you have your hand, pull it up and put it into a fist. That's your fist, and that will be the size of your whole grain, whole vegetable. If you open up your fist and look at your palm, and the pink size area on this chart showing in front of you will be the size of the protein or meat you will be consuming in one serving. And if you look at your fingertips, that will be the good size of oil or fat you use for cooking. That will be one serving size. Now, as we age, we will have different hand size, as you can see on this chart right here, which is very helpful for us as still a good tool to see how much we should be consuming. Again, our appetite, our physical activity are varying as we age. If you're a teenager, maybe you're playing sports outside and maybe you need to eat a little more. If you are feeling not well and you need a little more food to nourish your body, maybe you need to eat a little more. So know that your appetite and how much you eat will change depending on your condition and your age. And shopping for family, it really takes a lot of practice to see how much food does it take for me to cook so that all the members in my family have just the right amount. And that definitely takes some time. But knowing just in general how much food that's needed for each particular person can be so helpful before you go shopping for grocery. Now, I want all of us to think about it. How many of us currently have a budgeting system? Or how many of us actually set a specific budget amount for food? Yeah, you're totally welcome to unmute yourself and chime in if you have some experience about it. Personally, I always go by right around 200 per month for one person for myself. And some month it's really hard. Some month it could be easy to achieve if I bought something in bulk and didn't finish last month. But I would love to hear how many of us actually use a budgeting system here.
I don't.
Okay, wonderful.
I just look at the sale paper and see what's on sale.
I hear you.
Do the same thing, Geraldine.
Okay, I hear Drew does that too. That sounds good. Okay, that gives me a general idea of our what our current habit is, and that's great because today we're going to talk about food budgeting, and if you haven't tried it, this might be a good start for you. So personally, this is what I do. First, how do we set a budget? I have my fixed or somewhat flexible monthly income. That's how much I make in a month. And then I have fixed cost. These are costs that I have to pay. For example, the gas of my car when I'm going to work, the rent, which is a huge portion of what I'm paying is my rent. And I imagine all of us are feeling that way too, is don't want to get evicted. I got to pay the rent. And then the other portion is something like utilities, your health insurance. These are fixed costs that are built into your monthly spending. These are things that generally, they're always going to be there. You always have to pay them. And what's left over, your monthly income minus the fixed cost are the variable cost. And here are your leftover money that you can shop for food, shop for different kind of produce, grocery, or just shopping for fun or traveling. So these are our variable costs here. Let's get into a little more about variable cost. So these are the portion of the money we have left that are allowing us to buy food or clothing or the traveling plan you want to. And I think it's a great time for us to take a moment here and just to think about what are the reasons we buy certain things. For me, for a while, when I was in college, I wanted to look presentable. So some days I will eat ramen so I can buy a cute shirt from somewhere so I feel like I look good. But that's, you know, the 17, 18-year-old Jolene. At that time of her life, the priority was for her looking nice. But now I realize health is really important to me, and I have shifted my priority to eating more whole grain and better quality of food. So one thing that helped me was asking myself before I go shop, what is my intention behind shopping for that? And what are the motivating factors that prompt me to spend that money in my variable costs, whether it's on food, whether it's eating out, whether it's buying clothing. If I understand why I'm buying it, I'm less likely to shop at a spree and get convinced by the salesman who have very lovely talk, right? So I would love all of us to take just a couple minutes here, think about how did your credit card look during this quarantine? Has it changed your shopping behavior? Do you find yourself spending more or less on certain categories? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think, and I will share some of mine. You're totally welcome to jump in and let me know what you have seen. For me, when I pulled up my banking account and a credit card, I realized I shopped so much less when it's compared to January and February before we declared the pandemic. As soon as the pandemic's declared, I realized my grocery money has gone up because I was trying to buy a little more at first, so I have enough dry goods at home. And I definitely noticed under the section of entertaining and clothing, I didn't bought anything in a month of late March, April, and early May. So that's me. What about you guys? Anyone want to chime in?
For me, I've definitely been spending more on groceries during quarantine. And I think that's because I kind of just take what I can get at the store, regardless of the brand, because not everything's in stock. And then I used to do shopping at a few different stores for different items, but now I try to minimize the amount of places that I'm going to. So I just go to the Vons that's right by my house. And some of the stuff they have there is obviously more expensive than at other stores and vice versa. So I've just been trying to get my shopping done quick and efficiently. So because of that, I've noticed that I've been for sure.
I hear you. Thank you for sharing, Drew.
I'm spending more.
Yeah? Tell us
I'm spending more because I'm not doing my own shopping. So when I give my granddaughter money to go shopping, she buys stuff that I would never buy, and I certainly wouldn't buy it if it wasn't on sale. And so, and again, just like Drew, limited in the number of places she's going to go. She's only going to go to one store. So
Right.
instead of my getting the sale on paper goods that is at Walgreens and then right in the same plaza as Food for Less and do the food shopping there, it's wherever it is that my granddaughter decides to go, and that's what we have to pay. And I mean, when I got the bill back for the paper towels and the toilet paper she bought, I nearly passed out because normally I buy them on bulk when they're on sale, and
Right.
this was just unnerving. So this isn't working well for me.
I hear you. So that's the thing about quarantine. It really does change our shopping behavior. And we do see that different categories are being spent more or less on. The next couple slides, I wanted to share some of the budgeting resource. So there are a couple good apps out there that allow you to track your spending, like Good Budget or Wally, or the good old method is grab your little book and write down what you spend on each category based on what kind of category that works for you. And these apps specifically are very common, available on the cell phone, or if you use any bank, like Bank of America, Chase, I highly think they're gonna have a app on your phone. If you click into the app, there will be a section about budgeting. So what the bank generally does, it will categorize all your spending in a pie chart and show you how much you spend on different things. And that's a great way to keep things in check. Because for me, setting budget is really difficult without knowing how much I've spent on that category in the previous couple months, right? For example, if I were to say, okay, next month I'm not getting paid as much because of the quarantine, I gotta set a maybe smaller budget for buying stuff that's like cleaning, house decor, and I gotta make sure I can spend still similar amount on the food. What I do is I go back into my banking app, I check all the stuff on the category of how much I spent in the past, and that will allow me to set a budget that's more realistic to achieve for the next month. And right here, I would also like to share some EBT resource. If you use any kind of EBT card, then Fresh EBT is such a great app for you to track how much money you have that currently is on balance, and what are some stores that do take EBT and where is that available to you. You can put in your zip code and your EBT card number and it will prompt up all the information for you. And this is called the SNAP Retailer Locator. The app itself is called Fresh EBT. And I think it's such a great tool to be able to, pull up your phone as you're in your car, knowing where's the next available retailer that will allow you to use your EBT card. So I would love to review our food expense real quick. Today, I brought in my receipt. I don't know if you can see my screen, but here on the small screen, you can see these are my receipt. And this been working for me is I bring my receipt home. I color them in two different ways. I color green on things I know that's whole grain that I cook for myself at home. I color the snacks in orange on things that more so like junk food and comfort food, but I still need it for me to, on the days I feel like I need a little pick me up. So if you were to look at the screen here, I then further divided what I bought on my receipt into produce grain, my protein section, my dairy and beverage section, and my comfort junk food section. And what is great about this is It allows me to see how much money I'm spending on each category and allow me to see what can I do to shift the balance around. When it comes to junk food, I do want to mention the definition will be anything that's not a whole food, that's not a whole grain, and I feel like it's still something we could incorporate in our diet. But one thing I notice about myself is when I go to the grocery store, a lot of time these packaged food are displayed beautifully on sale. And I will think, okay, let me get a couple box of them and then stuff them in my house. I will eat slowly and plan out for the next month. But what end up happening when I buy more snacks is I bring them home and I eat them all at once. I don't know if you do that, but personally, what is it called? Fruit snack, the chewy fruit snack, the gummy bear textured fruit snacks. They come in like small package, right? In a big box. You would think I will be portion controlling, getting one packet a day. No. On the days that I'm not very having self-control, 4, 5, 6 packet later, we see all the wrappers and my little box here where it holds all the wrappers for the snack I eat. It goes to show, sometimes even with the best intention of buying snack on sale, planning out for the next 2 months, what end up happening is us, my housemate, and anyone that's in your household will just like, oh, that looks nice. Let me get some. And we end up eating a lot more junk food than we wanted to. And if you notice that this junk food are actually kind of pricey. For the same amount of money we spend on junk food, that was enough for me to buy my whole month worth of produce and grain. So if I were to be smart, which still challenging at times, I would decrease just a little bit on the amount of money I spend on junk food. That way I can save a little more and put that money onto buying more wholesome food. And the next trick I would love to share is when we go shop for food, look at the cost per serving. At here, we put an example of black beans. You can shop black bean in a can or buy them in dry goods section. What end up happening is you can see the cost per serving is half as much when you buy dry beans. Now, I understand that cooking dry beans takes a lot of time, but if you were to cook them ahead of time and freeze the section you're not using in your freezer and reheat them as you go, you can save a lot of money too. One other tip is check your unit price. When we shop in a grocery store, we are generally overwhelmed with the price tag information, and we look directly on the big letters, big numbers that give us the retail price per item. What is sometimes more helpful to us is the unit price on the price tag. And here you can see, even though the big tub of yogurt costs more in the retail price, the unit price for it is a lot less than the unit price for a small tub of yogurt. This is especially true when you're buying olive oil. I don't know if you have taken 1 hour looking at the olive oil section in grocery store, because I have done that because I want to have the best olive oil at the cheapest price. What I noticed is that olive oil's price can vary drastically depending on the size of container you buy and the brand you buy. So looking at the ingredient list to make sure, okay, I want 100% olive oil or I want 100% extra virgin olive oil, and then you check the unit price. They vary from 20 cents per fluid ounce all the way to could be like $1 per fluid ounce when it comes to really fancy small bottle. So this is a great lesson for us to know, if you know for sure you're gonna have a lot of this item for your household when it comes to yogurt, produce, beverage, or milk, then it's great to check your unit price before shopping. It will save you a lot of money. Another thing I would love to share is that we have the misconception that produce like farmers market have to be expensive, but that's actually may or may not be true depending on where you are. Some stores do carry very great produce at a good cost, and some farmers market also do the same. And on top of that, they allow you to use SNAP, EBT, and WIC check. And if you go to our farmers market and CLA, which I'm about to share in the next slide right here, CLA farmers market use market match. So if you go in with your EBT CalFresh card, they will double up whatever you spend up to $10 a day. So it's another way to shop local with season and support your local farmers, and you're able to use more money on them. Right here, I've listed the location of CLA and the hours of operation. This is a great little chart on the left side. They open on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Saturday. Depending on what time works for you, you can shop there. And I would love to mention this. CLA developed a new app that's called What's Good. And if you were to go to App Store and download What's Good, you can put in your address and it will allow you to see the farmer's market near you. And right now you're able to shop directly on that app and pick up your produce at CLA. And as we're talking right now, more vendors are putting their produce and dry goods on the app. So as time goes on, you will see more and more different selection of produce, and having a pickup point for farmers market is just so useful at this time right now. And lastly, I would love to share about the fresh and frozen produce that we see in our grocery store. You might be wondering, oh, what will be the cheapest way to buy vegetable? Well, the cheapest way to buy fresh produce is to buy them in season. They are likely to be marked at a really affordable price when they're in season. And if they're not in season, then it might be smart to check the frozen aisle and see what are the unit price or what are the serving prices. Right here, I show you the comparison for spinach because it's such a well-loved vegetable here. You can see the cheapest way to shop for spinach will be buying them frozen, and they can last for a while in the freezer. And the cheapest way to buy fresh spinach is to buy them in the unwashed in a stalk. It's a lot more expensive to buy spinach pre-washed in a ready-to-eat bag, as you can see on the price comparison in the bottom here. I would like to say another question that we get asked is buying fresh and frozen, is one better than the other? A lot of people are asking, is frozen produce have the same nutritional value as fresh? The answer to that is mostly yes. So what happened is frozen, the process of to get to the frozen good, the vegetables are actually picked at the peak ripeness, which is when they're most nutritionally dense. They're blanched and then frozen and packaged within hours when they are harvested on the field. So, and they can last for a long time in your freezer. Whereas when you're buying fresh, in order to have presentable produce on the grocery shelf, they would pick the produce before it's fully ripe so they can last throughout the transportation and storage and display until it reaches you. So overall, the nutrition value of vegetables, whether it's frozen or fresh, it will decrease as time goes on. Buying both fresh and frozen and have them both on hand is a smart way to save money, and it really depends on what your recipe needs. Some recipe ask for frozen spinach because it works better, and some recipe ask for fresh spinach for the display. It's in a salad. So buying both works, and buy the one that works for a family. And one little tip I would like to share before we end our presentation is blanching. It's such an interesting procedure that I don't think a lot of us do at home. Me and my friend Diana here, hi Diana, we actually blanched our carrots for the first time. And what it is you take your produce, whether that's carrots, spinach, green beans, you place them in boiling water for 30 seconds or until it's cooked to the level you want to. And then you pull the vegetable out of the hot water, place them in ice bath to cool them down. Afterwards, you dry the veggie and then put them in a frozen Ziploc bag. This is a great way to buy fresh produce in bulk when they're in season, and then store some of them later to use in your freezer. And we're coming to the end of our presentation. Here I listed a couple key takeaway message just to remind ourselves that learning about food portion and how much we need to have a healthy and balanced meal is a great way to start finding out how much food you need per household. And second, check the unit price and cost per serving can be a great tool to save more money. Third, use your EBT and market match at your local farmers market. Could be a great way to get fresh produce at an affordable price. And lastly, fresh and frozen produce are generally nutritionally comparable. So buy the one that works for you or buy both and have them both on hand. And that's it for our presentation today. I'm gonna stop sharing and you can see my face bigger. How do we feel? Do we have any question? I can see Zaza said that was a great job. Thank you so much. How do we feel? Do we have any question? You can unmute yourself so I can hear you.
The Let's See idea. I have to check that out.
Oh yeah? Are you talking about the app?
Well, the app, yes, but the whole concept, going to What's Good and ordering it ahead of time, who would have thought?
Right. That's such a great such a great thing to bring up because they were developing the app starting in, I think, late April. So that they just came out with the app on the 19th of May. So, which is a couple days ago. And we're just helping to spread the news. When you do check it, it is currently, they have very limited resource available, but every day, starting from the 19th, I've been checking, more and more vendors are putting more of their items online. You can even buy kombucha now from a farmer's market directly from your phone. How fancy
Whoa.
new. They have sweet lemons. They have, what I see very often are vegetable box. That costs like $25, but you get a big box of veggie of carrots, kale, spinach, and different kind of lemon and produce in one box. I'm sure as time goes on, they're gonna have more breakdown of like, you can buy spinach directly at how much per pound or how much per ounce. And that's something I'm looking forward to see as well. What about you, Cheryl? How do you feel?
Thank you so much for the EBT app. That's going to be a great resource for my clients and the CLA.
Yes.
What's Good app, that's going to be awesome for them and myself. But I do have a question. Can you like quickly describe the blanching process and how you did it?
Yes. Sorry if I wasn't clear. So blanching is a process where you boil your vegetables 30 seconds or until it's cooked through and through to the level you like it to be. For me, for spinach, that would be 30 seconds. But for carrots, that could be 3 minutes. And once they are cooked at a level you like, you take them out of the hot water and place them directly in the cold ice bath. And what that does, it stops the cooking process immediately. And it sounds silly. Why would we want to pre-cook our veggie? What it does is on our vegetable, there are a lot of enzymes that are slowly degrading the structure of the veggie, meaning it's gonna slowly go rotten. If you blanch it, meaning cook it real quick and freeze it, you stop the enzymes from working. And that's why blanched vegetables can stay up to a month in the freezer. If you do not blanch them and directly put your vegetable in the freezer, it will slowly go rotten. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thank you so much.
Of course. And also, just like my friend Zaza mentioned, blanched veggies also look very presentable because the enzyme that rots vegetables also change the color. So if you were to blanch it, you can see it becomes very vibrantly green, and they stay relatively like that throughout the 8 month.
Thank you so much. I'll do that with carrots.
Yeah, that's really interesting to see. We did it with carrots to blanch it, and then we shredded it and then what is it called? Carrot tartare. And that was an interesting concept. You just basically blanch your vegetables and then you shred them really quick before you cook it, and you put them in a small container so they look like a little cake. And you dump them out, and it looks like a really cute appetizer for you and your family.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions before I let you go? Well, I think we're doing pretty well. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Drew, Geraldine, Cheryl, Amy, Diana, Rose, my friend Zaza. Thank you so much for joining. I would love to hear your feedback. You're welcome to find us on Feast. Know that this series will take place every Thursday at 10 a.m. The next one, I think, will be taught by Drew. Is that correct, Drew? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so if you want to see our Drew talking about food, we would love to see you again. Sounds good? Okay, well, I will end the meeting now. I will see you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Jolene.
Thank you.